Oh my god, you're Emma John, right? And Robert Steele? Can I get a selfie?
This is 7-1 Happy. Call Zulu. We have aggressive passengers.
She always likes surprises.
Dead Island 2, man. This game. I'm not even going to spend too much time on the intro. I just want to say, man, you're in for a treat if you try this game out. I'm going to go over every reason why I think you should give Dead Island 2 a chance. I'm going to break down the gameplay, the story, the graphics, everything. I got to say, Dan Buster Studios, the guys that made this game, they worked on Homefront: The Revolution, and that was not a game well received. I played it, and I get it. I saw the potential in it, but it really isn't that great of a game. That game is always on sale for like $1, and it's because it's just not that great of a game. It's too many games out there in the world to play, and that's not one of them that you can, that's one you can skip. And for them to make this game that I'm classifying as my game of the year, I wouldn't be surprised if they sat back and said, man, we gotta change the narrative. We got to show people that we're great. We got to show people that we really have love for this industry. And that's what this game did, man. Like, if I had to sum it up, like I said, we're going to break everything down. This game, when someone does something, you can feel the love in it. That's what this game is. You feel that these people cared, that maybe the teams and studios and the publishers and whoever was handling the money said, we're going to give you the opportunity to just do your thing. And they did it. From top to bottom, Dead Island 2 is an amazing game. And we're going to go over it, man. And we're going to first start with the story.
Find me some fucking shoes!
Bruv, you got some blood coming out your ears.
What? I can't hear you. I got blood coming out of my ears.
Well,
So first, this is a spoiler-free review, so I'm not going to spoil the story, but I'm going to give you the basics. So when it comes to the plot, you're going to pick one of many characters, and before we get into the main point of the plot, I have to say that the character you pick is important. I played the game mostly as the cover art character Jacob, and his personality is more optimistic. He brings up his own past. He often talks about his dead mother. He's from England, so you'll hear that accent and you'll hear the slang. And like I said, he's an optimistic character. And he's not too optimistic. He's not going to be, I'm just the best guy, I'm the hero, nothing can stop me type of guy. He does give that off sometimes, but there's times where he's sad. There's times where he feels doubtful. There's times where he feels betrayed. All these different emotions still come out. And depending upon the character will be different. Like, I'm briefly playing through the game again as another character named Amy, and she's more of a serious character. And the best thing I could tell you is that when you first start the game, you're going to see an introduction. And in that introduction, whatever feeling you get about the character through their expression in that introduction is probably their personality going to be, while you're playing the game. So just keep that in mind. But when it comes to the overall plot, I'm going to keep it simple. After surviving a plane crash, you get infected, and on the way you meet up with a character named Emma John, who is a big movie star, and throughout the story you'll hear about her fame and things like that. I wouldn't be surprised that she's supposed to be a spoof off of I think Emma Watson. And you go through the game, it's a typical zombie story, but it's delivered very well. So there's going to be betrayals, government conspiracies, cover-ups, there's going to be crazy people all over the place, and you're going to learn more and more about what's going on, some supernatural things going on. And one of the returning characters from the past games, this isn't a spoiler because you learn about this in the introduction, is Sam B, the rapper from the original Dead Island games. And he basically shows you the ropes because early on you learn that you are immune. And he will show you how to survive in this apocalypse. And the whole point is to get out of LA, or as the game puts it, Hell A. And, you'll meet a bunch of different cast of characters and try to get everyone on board. But different things will come up, making your journey having to be delayed, or you might meet some people that will teach you some things about the zombie infestation and what's really going on. And this whole story was great. It keeps your attention. Now, if you don't like cliffhangers, well, then you just won't like the ending. But I felt the ending was great. It was one of those endings that really made me smile. It almost reminds me of, I did a review of Forspoken, where that game ended on a very interesting note. And this game does something similar. You know, one of those endings that makes you feel like, oh, okay, maybe there's some things about my character I didn't really pick up on. Maybe some deeper things about them that might be a little darker or might even just be more curious than what I previously thought of. Those are the things that ran through my mind. So overall, the story was great. The writing is great. You're going to meet a lot of different casts of characters in the main plot and the side plots, and we'll get into that. But the overall writing and delivery is great. If it had to compare to anything, it's like a Tarantino film. You know, it's kind of campy, and you know, there's going to be times where things get really serious. It's a good balance of everything. Now we're going to get on to gameplay. There are a few key parts of the gameplay that, you know, make up the whole entire pot. There's combat, there's leveling up, and exploration. Now with combat, you have your basics. You're going to be attacking, dodging, throwing your weapons, you know, throwing also items. You know, I'll go over those too. Those are special items. You get guns, you get zombie powers, you know, the whole 9 yards. You know, if you play Dead Island 1 or Riptide, a lot of this stuff is just a well-refined version of what you did in that game. So let's start with the melee weapons. You'll get a bunch of different types of melee weapons, and they can look, you know, they'll look like poles, swords, brass knuckles, knives, you know, there's all different types, but they actually have a kind of a category, because you could pick up a knife and it may not be the same as another knife. And it's not just the design, it's the style of weapon. So there are a few styles of weapons that you need to pay attention to, because these will determine how the weapon will perform in combat. You have your maiming weapons. Now, maiming weapons are good for breaking down zombies. Now, this is where I got to get into the zombie dismemberment system. The zombie dismemberment system is so detailed, it's one of the best. There's no zombie game that looks this good, that plays this good, that feels this good with the dismemberment involved. This is probably the best dismemberment in a game I've ever experienced. Like, I'm showing you something from the early game where I hit a zombie in the face so hard, and they turned around and they just stood there, turned around from the impact of the hit, and then they turned back to look at me, and their jaw was half off their face. That's not scripted. Things like this happen all the time. You'll fight zombies, and there's a particular move that you get in the game where you can close in on a zombie, grab them, and hit them in the face, and you can see all the detail. You can see teeth are rotting out. You can see eyes coming out the socket of the zombie. There's other different elemental attacks. We'll get into that more detail later, but just sticking with the dismemberment, depending upon the elements that the zombie has been hit with, their skin will burn, or if they were covered in acid, it'll melt off, or you will see like smoke coming from them, but they were shocked with electricity. And it's just so much crazy detail, you know, and you got your obvious things, you know, zombies attacking you, and you want to like slow him down, cut his legs off, you know, cut his arms off. And it's so small in its detail. You can cut off a hand. You don't have to cut off the whole arm. You can just cut off the hand, cut off a foot. Obviously you can cut off the head. You know, it's so much to this detail of dismemberment that it's not just some gross over the top gore. It plays into the gameplay. It goes into what we know or what we see in zombie films, and they just did it so well. And there's actually videos of the developers covering this, and it's just so good. But to get back into the other weapon types, you have Frenzy. This is good for elemental buildups, you know, when you want to build up an elemental attack on your enemy. Bulldozer, that's for crowd control, knocking enemies back. You have Headhunter. That's the most unique one, because Headhunter is mainly focused on just hitting the enemy in the head. You can hit them anywhere else, but you're going to do crits. And it's like a risk reward, because to hit a zombie in the face constantly, you're going to risk getting hit. So I guess that's the whole gimmick of it. I was using it with my second character, Amy. And I had these weapons before with Jacob, but I guess I never realized you were supposed to hit the enemy directly in the head with them. But once I got Amy and did it with her, I was like, oh, okay, I see the point of this, and I see how it's actually a challenge to use these. So that's the whole gimmick of those weapons. And of course, what's a zombie game without guns? You're going to have all types of guns. You're going to get a nail gun, assault rifle, shotguns, and they come in different varieties. You can get a double barrel shotgun, sawed-off shotguns, different types of pistols, revolvers, assault rifles, like I said. And all these guns are good for, of course, range combat. Bullets are, unlike the weapons can break. You know, your weapons, you can break them and they won't be usable. Guns, they don't break. The only thing you got to worry about them is obviously running out of bullets. So guns are good, and you get these guns as you progress through the game. You won't start off getting a gun until a certain main mission. You get your first gun, and once you get them, they don't feel overpowered. You're not going to play the game and feel like, oh, well, why would I use melee anymore? I just use guns all day. But it just all meld together very well, and I'm very surprised that they did that, because there are other games where once you get certain types of weapons, the other ones become useless. But what if you don't have a weapon or your weapons break? Well, you have some options. You could do hand-to-hand combat. This is our last resort. That's pretty much useless. When I say hand-to-hand, I mean hand-to-hand with no weapons, because you can get like things like, what is it, brass knuckles? I'm not talking about that. That's considered a weapon. I'm talking straight up just bare fist. That barely does any damage, but you can kick and dive kick. Now, jump kicks and dive kicks are for different types of properties we'll go over in a minute, but regular kick, that's for just getting zombies off you. Then the dive kicks, now these are pretty cool. You have two main types. You have one that's a karate kick, and that one's pretty weak, and it's good. If you stack certain skills up, you can kick zombies' heads off easily. But the dive kick, that's probably the most useful one, no matter if you have skills for it or not. This allows you to do some crowd control. You can jump up in there, do a dive kick, and they'll kick the zombie back, and they'll go flying a good distance, and you can actually hit multiple zombies in a row and knock them down like bowling balls or bowling pins rather. And it's pretty fun. It's addictive to do. There are times where I sat there and just did that, didn't even attack them with the weapons, and it comes into play a lot throughout the game. You're gonna sit there and say to yourself, okay, not only is this something fun to do, but this type of attack is useful from a strategic standpoint. There are some games that give you moves that's just goofy to do. No, these extra moves you get, and I'll go over some more that you get as well, these come into place when if I'm using a fast weapon, I don't want to switch to my weapon for crowd control. Don't need to. I can do a dive kick, stuff like that. And speaking of other types of powers and abilities, you have your zombie powers. One you unlock that's from the original game, you get this later, is your Fury mode. This allows you to basically transform into a zombie and just hit the enemies, and you're super fast. Now, it doesn't last long, and to get this, you have to kill a certain amount of zombies and not die, and you can build up your meter. And there's other powers you can get as well that you'll get earlier than this one. There's a ground pound, there's a scream, and all these reflect off of the special type of zombies. Like throughout the game, you'll get these special zombies that pop up. And as you play through the game and fight a bunch of different ones and progress through the story, you'll basically get their powers and their abilities. And this is on a timer that you can build up and use. And, these are pretty powerful. These come in handy for different reasons. The scream ability backs the zombies off you. Slam is a AoE attack. What was another one you had? You had the acid one. That one was a ranged one. I didn't use that one that much, but it probably comes better when you pick a certain character. The type of character I use, Jacob, it was easier just to use his slam attack. Now, there's these specialty items that come on a cooldown. I'll be honest, these were kind of weird. There are, again, ways to use these more often, but these range from grenades, ninja stars. My favorite was, there's different types of ninja stars. So you get one that's you just throw it at the enemy and it does do a little cut damage, but then there's one that actually electrifies them. So that came in handy a lot. If a zombie was coming close and I knew I could just stick them with this electric ninja star and it builds up electric damage over time, that came in handy. But the best one is the flesh. So you get a bottle of flesh. You get this early in the game, and this allows all the zombies to come over to the bottle of flesh, and then they just stay there and eat at the ground, and you can basically attack them and deal with the horde of zombies coming at you. These, like I said, they're on a cooldown, and that's the weird part, because I know why they are. They're very powerful, and there's a way to make the cooldown go by faster. And there were times where, I think the cooldown was necessary, because if it wasn't there, you could probably cheese the game. And there were times where I said, man, I really wish I could throw a bottle of flesh so that the zombies would back up off me, but I already used it. I have to wait for it to cool down. And there's ways to do that, but like I said, these types of items you get throughout the game through side quests, and you can unlock them by buying them and find them. Because at first, that's important to tell you guys about the buying system, which we'll go over in customization. But when it came to that, I had the zombie flesh for so long, and I was like, man, is this game only going to give me like a few of these? Is this just some half-baked thing? But no, a lot of them you just have to find. So keep that in mind when you're playing the game, that these items are very powerful. That's why they're on this cooldown, and you can get more of them. There's way more than you think. Now, another part of combat is using the environment to attack the zombies. So throughout LA, there's a lot of destruction. LA also, not only is the zombie apocalypse going on, but there's a bunch of, earthquakes and things like that going on. And because of that, there's so many things damaged. You'll see cars on the streets, and they have like their hoods open, so the battery's in the car. You could take that car battery and throw it at zombies, it's gonna shock them. That's what I mean by using the environment to your ability to fight the zombies. I was fighting a zombie, a strong, built up zombie, muscle bound, steroid type zombie, and it slammed the ground. And when it slammed the ground near a fire hydrant. And I didn't know these fire hydrants were breakable. It broke the fire hydrant, and then it applied the wet stat on the zombie. And I said, I didn't even know the wet stat was a thing. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know you could break the fire hydrants. So then that gave me the idea, well, I bet you I can shock this zombie easier because he's wet. And that was true. And the game plays into that. You see electrical outlets on the ground or electrical wires sparking. Let the zombies walk into it. It'll shock them. You can find like bottles or canisters of gasoline, canisters of water, canisters of acid. Kick a zombie into the pool, and if it's face down in the pool, it'll begin to drown. Kick a zombie off a building, it's gonna die. It's not just the elemental things in the world that you can use for your benefit. There's also just using your brain. It's so much to the game when it comes to using the world around you, and the world is so interactable. Like I was fighting a zombie, I had a fire weapon, and I was hitting it with my fire weapon. The zombie catches on fire, but we were inside of a store, right? And this was so cool. The fire system went off in the store, so the sprinklers came on, and it wet the zombie and took the fire effect off the zombie. And I'm like, yo, like why? Like these developers sat here and thought to do that. That's insane. That they put that much detail in this world, and it's so many ways you can use the environment. You can even use the environment to help you out. Kick a car, beat up on a car, let the alarm go off. It'll attract the zombies, lure them over there, blow them up. Like just throw a grenade. You done brought them to you, blow them up. It's so many ways you can mess with the world and let the world be a way to attack the zombies. That you got guns, you got melee weapons, you got your zombie powers, you got the elements of life, you got the world around you. All of it's a weapon, and it's so dynamic, it never gets old. Now all this fighting doesn't matter if what you're fighting isn't fun. There are so many zombie types, man. I can't sit here and name them all. I'm just gonna run down some. You got your basic slow walking zombies. You got runners. Now the runners, one thing I kind of glanced over is there's a dodge mechanic and a block mechanic. Now this dodge mechanic is so great because when you dodge the enemy, I remember I told you there's a move you could do where you can grab the zombie and get up in their face and beat them up. Well, these runners, that's what you're going to need to do because they run. They'll actually like anticipate your dodge, and if you dodge them, if you dodge any of the zombies, you can do these type of attacks unless it's a super zombie. So you use different types of ways to fight different zombies. Like I said, the runners, you want to stun them with a dodge. They're bloaters, they explode. You got zombies that spew acid at you. Zombies that are super strong, like I mentioned, and then a lot of these zombies have modifiers, so they'll have a super strong zombie, but it's on fire. You have one of the coolest zombies that comes like mid-game is there's these zombies with glass in them, and the reason why that's so funny is because these zombies with glass in them, just think this is how cool this game is, man. Use your brain. What do you think would be a bad thing to do when fighting a zombie that has glass in it? Probably kicking it, right? Because if you kick the zombie with your foot and it has glass all covered in it, you're going to cut yourself. I was kicking this zombie that was down on the ground, not doing anything, and I'm like, why am I taking damage? Is there something hitting me from behind? Nope, it's just me and this one zombie, and I just keep kicking it. And then I said, wait a minute. Because the cool thing is, I'll go over this later, there are certain abilities that can hurt you. So I'm thinking that this ability I had on was hurting me, but it was actually the zombie hurting me, not because it was attacking me, because I'm kicking it with my foot and the glass is cutting me. And I'm like, man, these guys just thought of everything. But there's screamers, man. I can go for days. Every type of zombie type you ever seen in any zombie game is here. I can't think of anything that's unique per se, but that's not a bad thing. They're done so well here, and they're done in a way that's different. Like, for example, the screamer I brought up. The screamers, they'll scream and alert the zombies, but their scream is so powerful. It's like the wind. They'll push you back, and those things, they're smart. They'll call all the zombies to attack you, and then you're trying to like get to the screamer to kill it so fast so it can stop, but it's hard to get to it because all this powerful voice is pushing you backwards. So you got to try to get around it. That's why I would just try to shoot it from a distance. But even then, that's hard because the crowd of zombies is so big, you may not have a good line of sight to shoot it. It's really crazy, man. Now it's time to get into weapon customization and also character customization, but we're going to start with the weapons first. First off, like any other RPG with a loot system, you have weapons that range from common all the way up to legendary. Legendary you won't start to see till in game. At least I didn't. The main difference between these rarities isn't just the power, obviously, but you know, as you get more rare weapons, some of them might already come with elements attached to them. So it's kind of like already having a free upgrade. Some weapons are even special weapons. So no matter what rarity it is, it's just a unique weapon that you may only get through a quest. And these typically have a special name and special look. You can even find these weapons even sold by vendors throughout the game. The rarity does tell you how many different abilities you can attach to the weapon. The higher the rarity, the more abilities you can attach to each different weapon. Of course, you can add all the elements to the weapon. You can make the weapon stronger. You can make the weapon faster. You can boost durability. That's one of my favorite things to do so that a weapon can last longer. And at any moment, if a weapon does break in this game, you can spend money to repair it. And you can even spend money to boost up the level of a weapon. So like I said, each weapon, you can't change the rarity of the weapon, but what you can do is, so let's say I found a weapon at level 10, and for whatever reason, I really like this weapon and I want to keep it. I can power it up to level 20, which is my current level, if I pay the money. But I'm going to tell you, it costs a lot of money and you will run out of money. So I wouldn't advise you to do this unless you really like a weapon. I would advise you to do this in late game. Now you add these different abilities to your weapon by finding blueprints. You'll get these through quests, buying them through vendors, and sometimes you might even find them just out in the world. So keep your eyes peeled. And the cool thing about this whole weapon upgrade system is that, like I said, you will run out of money by upgrading your weapons because every time you upgrade a weapon or add a new ability to it, it does cost money. What you can do is you can scrap your weapons and get parts back. And they give you a lot of parts back now. But you can also sell them. That's something I didn't begin to do till late game. I just never thought to do that. But when I started running out of money, I said, well, why don't I just see how much they'll give me for selling my weapons? And they give you 10,000, 20,000, like, especially if it's in good condition. If the weapon's in bad condition and you barely added any abilities to it, then you didn't level it up, they're not going to get much money. But if you have anything, like, let's say, because you get so many weapons, and I think you can have up to maybe 8 weapons at a time. Like, you could just swap through 8 different weapons. But you can have even more attached by like going over it with the D-pad. Let's say I found a weapon at level 20. Weapons kept dropping. I kept upgrading more weapons. But I found a weapon that I customized at level 20. But now I'm like level 25. All the weapons I found at level 25, I can't do nothing with this level 20 weapon unless I decided to power level it up to level 25. Well, why not just sell it? And typically, even if it's 5 levels behind, that's still 10 grand or more because it's a fully upgraded weapon plus I never use it. It's got full health. So you might want to sell your weapons if you're running out of money. You know, don't forget about that part of the game because scrapping it to get all the materials from it, that's useful too. So it's a mind game that they play with you. You know, me having to sit there and think, man, do I need the money or do I need the scrap? And at first, you know, I was playing the game and I thought I didn't need a lot of scrap. I didn't need a lot of these materials because you just find so much of it while you're playing the game. But no, you start upgrading, you're going to need scrap, and sometimes you got to recycle a weapon. So the whole ecosystem just forms and plays together so well that you're going to sit there and think when you're at this vendor or you're at the crafting bench about what to do next. Now, when it comes to your character, you have different skills you can apply to your character through these cards. And these will shape the build of your character. Now, first off, when you first pick a character, they have innate skills. These are just some type of different ways the character will play naturally. So it gives you a vibe of what type of character it is because each character has their own stats. But these innate cards that you get, like, for example, Jacob, he was a more tougher character. So you could say he's a tank-like character. So he has cards that as you attack the zombies more, you get more stamina. Like you'll end up, as you attack the zombies, you'll attack them even faster. And each character has a role they play. And that's where your innate skills come into play. Now, your ability skills, This is something that all the characters have across the board. This will modify your, remember I said you had a dodge? You could find a block, which works similar to the dodge, except for obviously you're blocking instead of dodging. But you can swap these out. Instead of a dive kit, you could do a karate kit. Instead of the power slam, which is a zombie move, you could do the zombie screen. So all the characters have access to all the different abilities, but you get to decide how you want your character to play by swapping the cards in and out. And you can have like one card can do 5 different things. Like one section, I mean, can do 5 different things. So you can't have, like, for example, a dive kick and a karate kit. You can only choose one of them. You can't have a dodge and a block. You can only have either the dodge or the block. So it changes the way you want to play. So if you're playing as a tank, you know, maybe a dodge doesn't make too much sense if you're trying to be tanky. You might as well block. If you're trying to be slow and hit enemies with heavy hitting attacks, being slow is probably what you want to do. So blocking will be better than dodging. But if you want to be fast, you want to add that dodge on there. Survival skills are abilities that allow you to regain health. So one thing that's so useful in this game is, like I said, when you do the dodge ability, or even if you block, if you do a perfect dodge or a perfect block, you can go in and do this attack where you grab the enemy and beat them up, and it automatically gives you extra health. But you can get extra health from a perfect dodge. You can get extra health from maiming a zombie. So now it's a mind game of, man, I need health. I don't have any health kits. They aren't dropping any health kits. How can I get it? I need to do a perfect dodge, and it's going to give me a lot of health back. And you might die. You might miss the dodge. It's so much that comes to these different survivor abilities and different ways you can regain your health by combat that plays a rich reward. It makes you, if you're not that good at the game, it's going to either make you be smart with your med kits, or it's going to make you better at timing. Your Slayer skills, that's all about killing. Like that makes killing better, faster, stronger. You know, it makes your damage higher. It gives you, like, you know, for example, if you hit a zombie in the face or something like that, you can like keep hitting them over and over and over. It's going to keep giving you crits. There's different types of ways you can build this up and make your character be the way you want. And my favorite cards are the Newman cards and the autophage skills. Now, this comes later in the game once you start getting your zombie powers. These cards will kind of, how do I explain it? It's like a card with a big power boost, but a great negative. I know that doesn't make much sense. You know, it's hard to explain it in words, but imagine if, you know, I gave you an ability that, like, there's an ability where you could do a dive kit, but then the dive kit is on fire. So you'll do a fire dive kit. So that doubles as an easy way to have fire damage at any time you want. So I can have one weapon in my hand that doesn't do any fire damage. I can always do this dive kit that does have fire damage. But guess what it does? Every time I use it, it takes away my health. Not only does it take away my health every time I do it, when you have these particular cards enabled, what they end up doing is overall downgrading a lot of your stats. So they'll downgrade your stamina, downgrade your health, and downgrade, it's another ability I'm blanking on, I might put it on the screen, but they downgrade a lot of your base stats, but the reward is making you super strong. So it's like all your survival skills get lowered, but you become very powerful. And then that's how the game plays in the whole, remember I told you that there's these skills that in combat you can gain more health. So what happens is the game has great pacing. As you play through the game is going to be kind of difficult because you're learning the game. About mid-game, you're going to know how to play, and you're going to be having powerful weapons, and the game's going to be pretty even. By late game, they're throwing all the hard zombies at you. You have these cool skills that have these pros and cons that make you technically weaker, but stronger. So you have stronger attacks, but you're frail. You can't take too much damage. But again, if you're good at the game, well, I don't need to have a bunch of med kits. I don't need to have this extra health pool. I can have low health and have high damage because I'm so good at the game now that I can just dodge damage, or I can block damage, or just play strategically so that I can do so much damage and not take a hit, so it doesn't matter that my character is technically weak. And it's such a rewarding feeling because let me tell you something, man, what a lot of games miss, what a lot of games end up doing, like using Skyrim as an example. You'll play Skyrim in the beginning, you're learning how to play, so it might be a little challenging, but about halfway through the game, not even before then, you'll realize that really enemies are leveling up with you, and you don't ever get stronger than most enemies. This game, I went from being weak to being even, if not stronger, to now I choose whether or not I'm strong or not, because I can be stronger, but I'm going to take a hit from my health, my stamina, and my survival abilities. but my strength is going to be great. Or I cannot take that risk, keep my survivability, but now I'm attacking zombies and I'm doing decent damage, but I'm not killing them as fast as I probably could if I just took the hit with the special cards that have the cons on them. So again, it's like you get to customize how you want to play. And there's 3 tiers to this autophage thing where I went all 3. I went autophage level 3, which means I'm the weakest but the strongest I can possibly be. You don't have to go all 3. You don't have to use it at all. It's up to you. And at first when I saw it, I said, why in the world would I make my character weaker? Until I saw how strong they were. So now, yeah, when I take a hit, my character, instead of taking a hit, they could probably take 4, 5, 6, 7 hits. Now they can only take maybe 3 hits and I'm out. So that means I got to play better, you know, and it's so much fun to basically get good. But then it's like a choose your own difficulty. You don't have to use it. If you think, if what I'm describing to you doesn't sound fun, don't use it. Don't use it. And you can still have all access to all the powers and stuff. You can't do the dive kick with the flame on it, but you know, you can still do a dive kick and you still use fire abilities. You just can't use the things that will have the cons with it because you don't want them. But it works so well. So that gets me to the end game with combat and gameplay. I'm in end game. I feel strong. I feel powerful. I'm getting legendary weapons and I'm still getting a challenge rather than just feeling like the game's on easy mode. I'm getting a challenge, and that is why this game just lasts so long. The replayability is crazy with your one character. But remember, I told you, you can play the game with all the different types of characters with their own different profiles and their different, ways they talk and interact with the characters. So you're getting a new story. You're getting not a new whole story, but a new way the story is told through different lenses of different characters. Plus, like I said, they have their own special abilities and traits themselves that my main character, Jacob, didn't have. I'm getting a whole new gameplay experience. You're essentially getting like 4, I forgot how many main characters there are, but you get like, maybe 5 different main characters and they all play differently? That's crazy. Now, the last bits are questing and exploration. Now, quest, you got your main quest that's going to follow the story. You got your side quest. The side quest you'll oftentimes, side quests are normally with characters that you do meet in the main story, but they want you to do some extra stuff on the side. And these range from your typical fight a bunch of zombies, find people here or there, find an item, and these all have good stories to them. But one thing that's cool is not only in the main quest and the side quest, when you do something for the characters, it lasts. It's not like, oh, okay, this guy says, hey, go find an item for me. If you bring that item back and you complete the quest, not only do you get XP and maybe a gift, but when you come back, he'll remember you did that. And the game is smart because remember I said about pacing, this game doesn't have a bunch of side quests or main quests. It has a limited amount, but it doesn't feel like this game is short. It doesn't feel like this game is lacking content. It's like the developer said, we're not going to fill you with fluff. We're not going to give you a bunch of quests that's just fetch quests. We're not going to give you a bunch of quests that's just busy work. We're going to give you quests with good quest design, quests with good characters in it and stories, so that when you complete one side quest and then the characters come again and ask you to do something else, it's a continuation of what you did before. So it's almost like a mini story inside your main story. Like one example is a family that's it's a mom and she's dating this rocker guy that I guess she's been dating on and off again, and the daughter is annoyed by them. And as you do the quest for them, you see them grow. You see the daughter, kind of become more accustomed to her mother's relationship with this rocker dude that seems very irresponsible. And at least with Jacob, his dialogue with them was pretty good, because that's the cool thing. You'll do these quests, and you know how many games the quest givers will talk to your character, even if your character has voice acting, they'll talk and your character doesn't really say nothing. No, your main character will respond to these characters. And there was times I didn't think the character was going to say anything, and they respond back to them. And sometimes it's little subtle things that don't got nothing to do with, like I said, speaking of this family, the girl, the daughter, she just asked my main character out of nowhere. This isn't tied to a quest. It's not tied to, unless it's a quest that I haven't gotten yet. She just said, hey, you ever lost somebody and couldn't get over their death? And my character answered how they answered. And I'm like, is this going to lead to something? And it doesn't seem like it did. It just seemed like it was a normal conversation that would probably happen in a zombie apocalypse. And I'm like, man, this is just so well done. But outside of just regular side quests, there are these lost and found quests. Now, these are really cool because this blends into exploration. So you'll find these notes where they'll say, hey, these people were missing before the zombie outbreak. Try to find them. Or somebody will be like, I found this one quest where this guy was a mailman and there was a gun that he was delivering, but I can't get inside the box. So it's like, okay, let me find the mailman. Maybe I can find the key and get inside to get the gun. And these quests are different because it's not like they say, okay, just go here. The game gives you hints. Like that one with the gun in the box, it was a situation where he was delivering packages. So you got to go around this small environment and find the different places where he last delivered mail. So you can retrace his steps, find him, get the gun, and, essentially get a cool reward. So it's kind of like a hide and go seek, or like the quest is lost and find. You go find the things that you're looking for, and you have to read the notes, study what the notes say. Like one thing that was cool, another type of quest it's the same thing, was this guy had a secret stash. I was trying to find his secret stash. I was in a random store, and I found the note, and he's like sleeping with this older lady. So like you're trying to like find out where he would have been before the zombie apocalypse, trying to meet with this older chick. And the cool thing it said in the note was, hey, this guy, he's at the sub store today. He's at the smaller chain of the store. He's not at the main. He should be at the main store later on. So it's kind of directing you to go to the main store. So I'm looking for this main store, and I'm like, where is this? I don't know. I said, I don't even know what the store I'm looking for is. So I went back to where I got the quest from, and I looked and read, and I said, okay, this is the type of shop it is. I think it was a surfer shop. And then I looked around and found, oh, here's a bigger surfer shop. It's the same shop, same name. It's just a bigger location. And then I found the item I was looking for. So that just ties into your ability to read and pay attention. It's like a mystery hunt. I found those to be pretty creative, and I would advise you to do those periodically. I wouldn't say stop a main quest to do them. They are fun, but if you're not into that, just skip past them. But the rewards are very good, and it just adds to world building. And the reason these quests work out so well, because remember I said these worlds are small. Like this game is made up of hub worlds. It's not an open world game. So you go from Beverly Hills, a movie set. There's the Venice Beach. There's another beach area where there's like a Ferris wheel. There's a military base. There's the sewers. There's so many different places you can go to, and these maps are small, but that's a bad way to explain it. They're small in the sense that they're small for a world, but they're dense. There's so much small detail in it, and one of the best places is in the beginning, and how much detail is in this map. In the beginning area, I think that's Beverly Hills, there's actually a house where these streamers are. And it's so much detail in this one house. Now, what I mean by streamers, I'm talking about like online streamers. So you would imagine, what would online streamers have? A bunch of cards, a bunch of video games. You will see their sets. You'll see the skits they were planning to do before the apocalypse. And these are like rich young kids, so they got a bunch of alcohol. They got drugs. They got a gym, a pool. And you'll go to this house, and this house is a place you'll frequently come to and go to. But this is the cool part of the exploring part. You'll go in there, and there's a locked door. How do I get in there? I don't know. Now, a lot of that stuff, I will say, you won't be able to get to it until you progress through the story. Other things, though, you can get into it. You just got to use your brain and figure out how. Sometimes it's a zombie you got to take out. Throughout the game, you'll find zombies that are just like any other zombie, but they got a specific name above their head. That they typically drop a key or something if you find them. And again, these zombies, a lot of them, it's not a quest that points you out to them. It's just you find them. You will find the old residents of these homes and the places they were in. And they just go so deep. Like there's a hotel that, before the apocalypse went out, it was a wedding was taking place. So you'll see some of the zombies are dressed up in wedding attire that at the movie set, zombies are still dressed up and their movie outfits, and it's just so much to explore and find in these worlds. That's why it being a hub world, like somebody might say, man, I want an open world game. Let me tell you, there's more detail in these small maps than there is in probably GTA 5 and any of these big open world games you could think of. It's more detail, it's more creative, it's more things to see in these small places than there are in bigger games. And the last thing I'll talk about is the graphics. Although I won't talk too much. Man, if you can't see that this game looks amazing, especially with the lighting, if you can't see it, I don't know what to tell you. This game is, when people say, man, these games ain't next gen yet, this is next gen. I played this on PS5. It's on PS4 and Xbox One. I don't know how it looks on there. I know on the PS5 at 60 frames per second, I believe it's 4K. This looks like the only thing about the graphics that ain't the best. And if it had it, this would be like it's already the best looking game I've seen on next generation, but it'll be even better. there is no reflection. Well, there's minor reflections in mirrors. Some mirrors have good reflections, but others don't have none at all. Or the reflection is not what you would think it is. If the reflections were up, man, there's no game that looks better than this. From the zombie dismemberment to the lighting is so good. Like each little hub has like a night and day, not cycle, but you could choose night or day. And man, playing this game at night and seeing those lights bounce off the darkness, it looks so good. Look, man, 40 minutes. I tried to make this review short. I'm just coming to the conclusion I can't make short reviews. Like, especially when I like something, I could talk about it. And this game, my game of the year. Like, I thought it was going to be Forspoken, but this game came in that's great. Anytime as a gamer, you could play a game that you say, man, this is my game of the year. And then the next game you play out there of it is like, no, this is better. It's not that Forspoken is bad now. It's just that's two amazing games came out in 1 year. So great that I just couldn't wait to tell y'all. I'm going to cover Dead Island 2 some more because I have the DLC. That's how good this game is. It was so good and I liked it so much. I went ahead and just got the season pass. For those who don't know me, there's only one franchise I do that with, and that's Borderlands. I didn't do it with Wonderlands because Wonderlands, I'll talk about that one day. But Borderlands, I always buy the season pass. I buy it because I just have trust in Gearbox that they're going to deliver, and I've never bought a season pass from Gearbox and it was bad. This game got the season pass, and I will cover the DLC eventually once I get to it. But I could tell you, man, I'm currently playing through the next game I should be reviewing. That's Ghost of Tsushima. But for this review, I came back, turned this game on to get some footage, and I was almost about to put Ghost of Tsushima down because that's how good this game is, and I want to get into that DLC, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait because I am liking Ghost. But anyway, guys, look, if you don't know by now, I already said it was my game of the year. I highly recommend Dead Island 2. Please get it. Please get it. This studio changed my whole perception. Like, that Homefront The Revolution was not it. This is like the comeback of the century. This is crazy how much better this game is compared to their last work. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Hope you like, comment, subscribe, share. Let me know what you think in the comments, and please watch my upcoming videos. And I will be making some breakdowns of Dead Island 2, Forspoken, even Ghost of Tsushima. That's the next type of content I want to bring to the channel. I want to break down and do smaller videos of games I really enjoy. So peace out. Let me know what you think in the comments, and have a blessed day.
Fuckers. Look, we got enough problems right here. Zompocalypse kicks off the week of the strongman competition.
Giant fucking roid-soaked monsters everywhere. You know what I think? What? Huh? What you fucking think, bud? I think. Hey, guys.
Shit.
I'll keep coming. They're gonna get me.
And then there were 3.
I'll get the mop.